On this episode of Locked On Angels, it was Logan O'Hoppe weekend at Anaheim Stadium. He led the Halos to another series win. They moved to 6-3 on the season. We've got the stats, the details, and the reasons why the Halos won this series. And oh, by the way, Logan O'Hoppe, our best friend, had a great weekend. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm in a good mood. The Angels are playing well. They're playing good. This is great. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you could do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Happy Monday to you, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our fourth season as the hosts of Locked On Angels. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, however you want to slice it. And we're so grateful and glad. I was trying to combine that word. Gladful. We're so grateful and glad that you're here with us as everydayers. You know, you make that joke about Logan O'Hoppe being our best friend. And, you know, the reason I know that that's true is because his mom gave my wife new mom advice when my wife was pregnant. And so, you know, have you gotten new mom advice from Logan O'Hoppe's mom? I didn't think so.
Listen, Logan O'Hoppe's mom said, Logan, come over here. These are the Super Halo Bros. You need to say hi to them. And he walked over and he goes, oh, I've heard about you guys. So
nice.
We're being talked about at the O'Hoppe household. We love that.
Around the dinner table. I love it.
Heck yeah.
Hey, we're recapping the series win for the Halos against the Cleveland Guardians this weekend. Mike, the third series that they've won in a row. Didn't start out with a win, but it was, you know, a competitive game until it really wasn't. But I think it set them up for success on Saturday and Sunday. So let's get into the details from all three games, starting with the 8-6 loss on Friday.
Yeah, we got word before Friday's game that Caden Dana was called up because Ryan Johnson went on the paternity list. He and his wife are having a baby. That's exciting. I know this guy looks like he's 12 and he's a dad. So congratulations to Ryan and his wife. John, the starting lineup was a typical starting lineup. It looked as if everything was kind of normal outside of Mike Trout on Friday hit second, which is something that you and I have talked about on this show. And the reason why we've talked about that is because with Trout in that third spot, the third spot is the predominant spot where the batter comes up with nobody on and 2 outs. And we didn't want that for Trout. And most often your best hitter is going to hit second in the batting order. So seeing Mike Trout there was exciting for us. And then also Kyren Paris wasn't in this lineup. And because it was the home opener, there was a lot of fans that were there most of the day to celebrate the Angels. Wash was interviewed by Roger Lodge, and Roger asked him about Kyren Paris in the lineup. And Wash said, he's not in the lineup now. Not tonight. Right? And the crowd let him have it. They booed, and then they chanted, "We want Paris," which is the reality right now with Kyren Paris because he's playing so good. Now, we know that things changed in Friday's game that allowed Paris to get in. But one thing that Wash did say is that he's an infielder trying to learn to play the outfield. But will I pull Newman and get them into the infield? Not going to happen. I want to have everybody have an opportunity to play. We've only played 6 games at this point. Let the process work out. Now, things did work out for Paris to get into this game, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But, John, get us started in the top of the first.
I don't know if you saw my wheels turn in when we talked about Ryan Johnson a minute ago, but then I was like, what happened 9 months ago that they would be celebrating? And he got drafted. So maybe that's why they're having a baby, Mike.
Right. Or maybe they're just a happily married couple, John.
Yeah, or that. You know, also that. Hey, in the top of the first, Jose Soriano got the start in this one. He's come in with a 2-1 record and a 2.77 ERA in 3 games against Cleveland. 2 of those are starts. 1 of those is relief. With 1 out, Jose Ramirez, freaking Jose Ramirez, man. You can't hate the guy. Like
No.
he just plays baseball, right?
So
and
good.
I tweeted, is he the most underrated player in MLB? And a lot of people agreed, and a lot of people said no, because they say the exact same thing on the broadcast. And I was like, oh, well, that was just a thought that I had was, is he the most underrated player? Hit a line drive homer to right, the first of 3 on the night. My fantasy team was very, very happy about that. The pitch was down, but it was in the strike zone. Then we had Santana hit a hard line out to right. Manzardo singled. All 4 batters hit the ball hard, but Soriano gets Lane Thomas to swing and miss to end the inning. Then in the bottom of the first with 1 out, Mike Trout answers J-Ram's home run with one of his own, of course, on opening night, right? 98-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone, the pitch that Trout has struggled with, but he did not struggle here. He was able to hit that one out. Soler followed with a single to short. The ball deflected off the glove of Rocchio, and Moncada flew out to center, just missed the pitch. And then O'Hoppe follows with a walk after falling behind 0-2, but Shawnuel grounded into a force out.
Yeah, top second after 2 strikeouts. Soriano walks Arias and should have been out of the inning, but the ump called 2 strikes at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah,
that he called them balls, and that messed things up for Soriano. Then Rocchio doubles in a run. The throw home was close, but the runner was safe. Then Soriano got out of the inning when Stephen Kwan grounded out. Guardians were up 2-1 at that point. Top 3, Soriano figures some things out. He strikes out the side, Ramirez, Santana, and Manzardo. But then bottom 4, the Angels try to respond, and they do. Trout leads off with a walk. He's walking a lot, which is a really good sign. Soler struck out swinging. Then Moncada walked. O'Hoppe strikes out swinging. And then, John, 2 out hitting, something that the Angels just haven't done in the last few years.
Yeah.
Nolan Shawnuel singles. Mike Trout scores, ties the game at 2. Rengifo reaches on an error, and it loads the bases for Joe Adell, and he singles up the middle, knocks in 2 more runs. And then Kevin Newman, who's struggling so far this season, he struck out. But the Angels did go up 4-2 at that point.
Yeah, and that was in the bottom of the 3rd, top of the 4th. Kyren Paris comes in for Rengifo, and everyone went, wait a second, Wash. I thought Kyren Paris couldn't play the infield. He wasn't allowed to do that. So, Mike, is this Wash bending a little bit? Did the boos rattle him before the home opener? You know, because he could have gone to Tim Anderson or Nicky Lopez. Rengifo left with a tight left hamstring. That's the same thing he dealt with in spring training. But interesting, right? That Paris came in the infield.
I think that it is Wash being flexible. I do. I don't think that it was him feeling forced. I just think that he's going to put in a hot bat. And I think because Rengifo leaves, you're losing a good bat. Yeah. And if you bring in Anderson or you bring in Nicky Lopez, and Anderson had a pretty good weekend,
sure,
you're not bringing in somebody that's a potential threat at the plate like Kyren Paris has been so far. And so I think it was him going, listen, I can't hold fast to this idea that he's just going to play center field and be the 4th outfielder. I think he did decide to be flexible, a bit agile in this moment. And I appreciated that as a fan because Kyren Paris did end up going 2 for 2 in this game, didn't he?
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Somebody that I wanted over the offseason for this exact role was Jacob Eunice, who took over for Gavin Williams. Williams had thrown 75 pitches in 3 innings. So the Angels really made him work. Everybody was sitting fastball when it was in the zone, right? And so Jacob Eunice took over in that role. Top of the 5th, Stephen Kwan had a walk. Again, it should have been strike 3, but not called. This is the 2nd time in this game, and it was a theme throughout the whole game that we need the challenge system for ABS to be implemented, Thursday night before this game, right?
Right.
And Clint Vondrak, you pulled the umpire scorecard.
Yeah.
He had a 91% called strike accuracy, 92% called ball accuracy. And what's interesting is the most impactful calls on these scorecards are purely based on, the at bat itself, right? But it's not, it's what comes after the at bat. It's when Soriano doesn't get strike 3 to get out of the inning and has to face somebody else and has to throw more pitches. Like that's the kind of stuff that impacts the game. So the impactful missed calls are a good indicator of, they always have the roller coaster. It's like the win prediction, or I'm trying to think of the name of it, but like you always see, who's more in favor of winning than the other team. And that's what these impactful missed calls are based on. So again, it's accurate in that sense, but man, the run differential for Cleveland, only a positive 0.38, but that does not take into account the kind of stuff that happens after, such as a Jose Ramirez home run against Soriano with 2 outs. He hit a 2-run homer. It tied the game at 4. Then Soriano struck out Santana. Bottom of the 5th, Moncada started it with a double. O'Hoppe struck out looking, and Shawnuel followed with a walk. The pitch he took got a lot of the strike zone, but it was called a ball. And then with 2 on, Kyren Paris comes up and gets hit by the pitch on the foot. That loads the bases for Adele. This time he struck out swinging, though, so that was unfortunate. Kevin Newman swings at the first pitch and flies out to center field. 0 for 12 at this point of the season because he's swinging at the first pitch in a high-pressure, bases-loaded situation, and so that was a big missed opportunity there in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, top 6, Manzardo leads off with a walk, then Lane Thomas strikes out swinging, then Wash comes and gets Soriano. He finishes 5 1/3, 9 Ks, which is a career high for him.
Wow.
5 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 90 pitches. He normally relies heavily on his sinker and his knuckle curve, but so far this season, he's throwing the slider a bit more. He threw the slider just 5.5% of the time last year. So far this season, he's throwing it 14% of the time. And that's part of the reason why there are a bit more walks in this outing, because he just didn't have control over it. So he gets taken out. Zephyr John comes in. Nolan Jones pops out. Then he walks Bo Naylor. On that last pitch, Zephyr John looks like he hurts himself, and so it becomes a hamstring issue. We know that he pitched on Sunday, so seems like everything is okay, although he had some issues on Sunday as well. Bases were loaded for Rocchio. He singles, and the ball is headed to Moncada, and Moncada was waiting for the hop, and it didn't hop. It didn't bounce, and so the ball goes under his glove, made it 6-4 Guardians at that point. But the Angels get out of the inning when O'Hoppe throws out Rocchio trying a double steal, and they were able to escape, which was great, 6-4. But it was a situation where those runs shouldn't have scored, and the balls and strikes were off, but also Moncada has got to get his glove down and not anticipate, but just grab the ball to be able to get the out.
And that's what Wash teaches, is you're bringing the glove to the ball. And I think that was a big point of criticism I saw on social media. But look, I think Moncada has actually been a stud over there at third base. So it's unfortunate that this kind of stuck in everybody's mind because, again, it was a tight game and it led to some runs for the Guardians. Top of the 7th, Caden Dana comes in, gives up a single to Stephen Kwan. He walks Ramirez, gets Santana on a force out. And with 1 out and runners on at the corners, Manzardo hits a sac fly. That makes it 7-4 Guardians. The 5th time in the game that a walk led to a run in this one, Mike. Lane Thomas followed with a double off the glove of Moncada, so there's another issue. It bounced off of him, went into left field. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. Dana gets Jones to ground out through 33 pitches in that inning, but he had a better inning in the top of the 8th. Just 8 pitches, got him 1, 2, 3. Then Moncada leaves with thumb irritation, so that means we have Rengifo, Zephyr John, and Moncada, and all of us went, well, here's where the season falls apart. Here's where everybody gets hurt, and this is where everything sucks. But fortunately, that wasn't the case. They got runners on in the bottom of the 7th and the 8th, but the Angels did not score. Top of the 9th, Jose Ramirez, another home run in this one. Caden Dana ended up going 3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earnies, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Bottom of the 9th, there was a little bit of hope, wasn't there, Mike?
Yeah, Logan O'Hoppe has an 11-pitch at bat. Then he homers with 1 out. Then Kyren Paris singles with 2 out. Then Joe Adele doubles and drives in Kyren Paris. But then Travis d'Arnaud popped out. He was batting for Newman. He grounded out. And the Angels did not have any more runs come across. They ended up losing the game 8-6. John, they were 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position. It just goes to show how many opportunities they had, and they didn't come through. And so this was a frustrating game because it looked like the Halos of the last few years. And so I was frustrated. You were frustrated. Fans were frustrated. Luckily, though, this was just game 1 of a 3-game set, and it got better as the weekend went on.
Yeah, unfortunate for those in attendance on opening night to not get to witness a win, but I hope that everybody had a great time regardless of that. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, with the Halos bounce back and get the series win, we're going to tell you how they did it and by the way, yes, they did. And we'll talk about it in just a minute.
When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters, and that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to help support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure that they're free of substances banned by major athletic organizations. That's why they've partnered with Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. And Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without artificial junk, which is great. So whether you're recovering from a workout or you need a bit of an energy boost for that workout, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results. Just visit justingredients.com/Bryce Harper and use our promo code Locked On MLB for 20% off your order. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Mike, on Saturday, we got word that none of the players hurt in Friday's game were going to go on the IL.
Yeah.
Wash said that Paris will play the infield in this one, and that he did. This lineup looked a little bit different from Friday night. It was kind of back to where we have been. However, we had Kyren Paris in this lineup.
Yep.
So it went Ward, Rengifo. Trout was DHing just to get him off of his feet, according to Ron Washington. Soler got into right field. O'Hoppe was batting fifth. Sean Noel sixth. Paris at second base, batting seventh. Joe Adell. And then Tim Anderson, who, like you said, ended up having a great weekend. Finally, right? Like, it's about time that guy came around. And maybe it's just that combination of, Paris and Anderson in the infield that does something for this lineup. But why don't you get us started with the top of the first?
I love that Wash played the hot hand, by the way, that he didn't run back to his old reliables or his veterans just because he felt like they needed to be in there. He is playing the hot hand, which has been beneficial to this team. Now, top one, this game started off the way that Friday started. Carlos Santana hits a home run off of Jack Kahanowitz, and we're like, oh man, this isn't going to be good. It's that sinker that just didn't sink, and Carlos Santana hit a rocket out. But bottom one, Rengifo answers with a solo shot. John, 105.7 exit velocity, and it was on an 0-2 pitch that got a lot of the strike zone, and he hit that really far. And then Trout back in the third spot, he walked, which I love. Then Jorge Soler hits a 2-run home run, his first as a Halo on Saturday, 408 feet. 107.5 exit velo. It was the first time hitting multiple home runs in the first inning for the Halos since last year, July 26th. It was Ward and Shonowell that did that last year.
Against the Sacramento A's? What are we calling them these days? ATH? Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah.
Look, Mike, I know you're mentioning the exit velocities, and here's why, I've had hope in guys like Taylor Ward and Joe Adell too. Everybody's hitting the ball hard.
Yeah.
And look, I know that, people will trip all over themselves talking about exit velos and launch angles and stuff, but the fact is high exit velocities lead to hits. That's the biggest indicator that somebody's going to get a hit. Now, the launch angle is also part of that. That's why Nolan Shonowell can hit the ball really hard, but if it's on the ground, it doesn't make a difference. But this is a good step in the right direction for the entire team. And the fact that these guys are hitting the ball hard is a really great sign for the Halos offense. Top of the second, the Angels had a great 3-6-3 double play to end the inning. Shonowell threw the ball to second, and then it was headed over to first base where Kahanowitz beat the runner. Kahanowitz had 16 double plays turned behind him last year. That's what happens when you're a ground ball guy. And then, Mike, I thought we got rid of the Naylor brother who gives us trouble, but no, apparently it's Bo Naylor, right?
Right. Yeah, he hits a solo home run in the top of the third. That made it 3-2 Halos at that point. Then with one out, Stephen Kwan singled. Then Jose Ramirez grounds out to first, which we were all holding our breath, right?
Yeah.
Shonowell grabbed it. He threw it to second, but the runner was in the way, and he hit the runner the back of the helmet. And so both runners end up at second and third with one out, which this is where we, again, as Angel fans, we're like, okay, here's where it falls apart. So Santana grounds out, but the runner at third scores. It made it 3-3, but then Kahanowitz got out of the inning because Manzardo flew out to left field to end the inning, which was good. And We all took a collective deep breath, but then we had to hold our breath again because in the top of the fifth, the Guardians loaded the bases again.
Yeah.
Kahanowitz battles Manzardo, got him to fly out to center, which, again, we all took a collective sigh of relief. But it's those moments, John, where you and I have talked pretty often about how important it is to have a swing and miss pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Kahanowitz, if he doesn't have one, he's going to have to throw 4 or 5 extra pitches, and he's going to have to either get a ground ball or obviously a fly out to get out of the inning. That fly out was deep, but it did get him out of the inning. So high five to Kahanowitz. But this is why you need a strikeout pitch there, right?
Yeah, it seems like he's working that sinker away from, I'm just trying to think it in my head. He's working the sinker away from hitters. That's something that I've seen where it kind of, it's got a little bit of lateral movement, but it's mostly up and down. However, if it's running away from the hitter, where it starts in the zone, or maybe it looks like it's going to hit the edge and then it tails just out of reach of their bat. I did see that a few times, but Mike, his bread and butter is going to be that four seam at the top of the zone. He's got to get everybody to look down, and then he's got to throw that four seamer at the top. Here's how he ended his night: 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts on 79 pitches. A little bit of a not quite a Kohanowitzian start, I guess you could say. Can I trademark that? Kohanowitzian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me why, Mike.
Because he's somebody who typically will get into the 6th inning and the 7th inning. Like, he's a quality start guy, and he's had 9 of 12 starts in his career as quality starts. So he was well on his way, probably could have gone an extra inning. I do think it was smart to pull him because he was struggling. It's not about the amount of pitches. It's about the type of pitches that he's throwing. And this Guardians team, they really made him work. And so he left. Game was tied. If the Halos could score in the bottom of the 5th, then Kahanowitz could get his first win at Angel Stadium, right? And John, they went off in that inning. They scored 7 runs. So why don't you walk us through it? Yeah,
Rengifo leads off with a single. Mike Trout hits his 3rd homer of the year, the 2nd in 2 nights. Made it 5-3 at that point. 429 to dead center field, 106.9 exit velo on that one. 3rd straight game with a homer and 4 straight with an extra base hit. 5 in a row with an RBI.
Wow.
Jorge Soler gets hit by a pitch. Logan O'Hoppe hits his 4th home run of the season. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be his last in this series. A 2-run shot, 396 feet. O'Hoppe had 3 hits in this game and 2 RBIs. The Halos were up 7-3 at this point. The 4th homer of the night for the Halos at that point. O'Hoppe's 3rd straight game with a home run. The first time 2 players have hit homers in 3 straight games since June of 2021. That was Ohtani and Jared Walsh, Mike.
Made me sad when I saw that, because I saw Jared Walsh's name.
I know. Man, I love that guy.
Yes.
That knocked Tanner Bybee out of the game. Tristan McKenzie came in, has the yips, apparently, because he couldn't do anything. And Shawnuel got him with a single to right. Kyren Paris struck out, and that was the first out of the inning. So everything I just described to you all took place before the first out of the inning.
Right.
Adele gets a walk, and runners at 1st and 2nd. Tristan McKenzie throws a wild pitch. The runners move up. Tim Anderson doubles, both runners in. That made it 9-3. The first extra base hit and RBIs for Anderson as an Angel. Taylor Ward followed with an RBI single. Anderson scores. It's 10-3 Halos, Mike.
Wow.
Ward got thrown out trying to go to second on a pitch in the dirt. Rengifo then reached on a walk, but Trout ended it with a K. So 11 total batters in that inning for the Halos. And again, they just ran away with it 10-3 at this point.
Yeah, Garrett McDaniels comes in and responds well after struggling in his last outing. He went 2 innings, was very, very good, gave up just 1 hit, 2 Ks. Then Ian Anderson finishes out the game, the final 2 innings, and the Halos win 10-4 in this one. They moved to 5-3 on Saturday. And here's a note, John. They went 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position in this game, which was great. And so batting 500, didn't have that many opportunities, mostly because they were just hitting bombs on Saturday night.
Can I ask you, was this a game where you felt like finally an easy one that we can enjoy, or were you worried that they would give up that 10-3 lead?
No, once they got to 10-3, and then I saw Garrett McDaniels look really confident, I was pretty confident. And I think that's again, what's different about this team is that we can actually be excited about bullpen guys coming in and not necessarily blowing it.
Yeah.
What they've had in a couple of games back to back, I think is going to be more of an anomaly this season than the reality. Now, I'm hoping that I'm not speaking the bad into existence here, but I think that what we're seeing from this bullpen is that they're going to be a bit more consistent and a bit more in control and a bit more effective. And I really like all of the guys in this bullpen. Yes, including Ian Anderson and Reed Detmers. I really like how this bullpen has been laid out. And I just think that Wash has to manage it in a very wise way. And what I thought he did on Saturday and even on Sunday, I thought he managed it a whole lot better than he has in the previous series.
Yeah. Did the Halos manage to win this series? Well, you already know the answer to that, but we're going to give you all the details here in just a minute.
With the Halos playing so well, you need to go to a game, and Game Time is going to help you get there. If you're looking for last-minute tickets, Game Time makes getting tickets even easier for you.
I'm going to go to Angels Giants on Saturday the 19th because my friend Steven is a Giants fan, so we always try to go when they're in town. We're going to get that big A with a Millennium Falcon on top of it, Mike, and I'm going to get tickets on Game Time so that we make sure we get that big A with the Millennium Falcon on it.
Love it. And when you use Game Time, use their picks feature. It gets all of the terrible stuff, all the fluff out, and highlights the top discounts in the stadium for you. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download their app right now, create an account, use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download their app, create an account, and LOCKEDONMLB is the promo code you want to use for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Mike, Sunday was the finale, a nice little day game. Before it started, we found out a couple of big things. First of all, Michael Darrell Hicks, somebody that we've wanted to see as a reliever for a little while because he's done well in the minor leagues. This will be his chance to step up and pitch with the big league club. He had an all right spring. Like it wasn't, overly impressive, but it'll be interesting to see how they use him. The reason for that is because Kyren Dana went back down to AAA, and then they actually released Hans Kraus, Mike, which I was surprised about. Not a DFA to where, he could stick with the team, but just an outright release. It's unfortunate because it looked like he just hurt himself in the AAA game a few nights ago. So that is, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm going to wait for more details on what's going on there. But regarding Michael Darrell Hicks, former Locked On Angels host Taylor Blake Ward had this to say. He was a non-drafted free agent from Jacksonville, who had allowed 12 runs in his 9 innings of pro ball, but he's done nothing but perform at a high level since then, including a 2.60 ERA last year between AA and AAA. It's going to be really cool to see Michael Darrell Hicks get a chance with the Angels.
Yeah. So Sunday's game was the same lineup that the Angels had on Saturday's game.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. We almost got to see Michael Darrell Hicks in this game. He didn't enter the game, and then after the game, they did send him back down into the minor league. So this game started off in the top of the first with Tyler Anderson walking Ramirez and Santana, which is frustrating, right? Yeah. Tyler Anderson. And that mic behind home plate is not great for Tyler Anderson starts because you can hear all of the language from him. And then they had a double steal, and then Lane Thomas hits a sac fly to score the first run. It was a run without the hit for the Guardians in that inning. But John, that's all that they did in this game against Tyler Anderson. They walked a lot, but didn't capitalize. And that was huge for Tyler Anderson. And we'll talk about that when we get to the top of the fifth. But why don't you walk us through the bottom of the second?
Yeah, Logan O'Hoppe leads it off with his 5th home run of the season, the 4th straight game with a home run. Listen to this. First player in franchise history to homer in 4 straight games as a catcher. And then they were talking about he's done something for the first time since Yogi Berra. I think it was an AL player who had 4 straight home runs. I'm trying to remember the stat there, but it was very impressive. Kyren Paris singles with 1 out and stole second base. Adele pops out to short. Tim Anderson singles in Paris and got to second on a throwing error. And then Ward grounded out, but the Halos lead 2-1 after the bottom of the second.
Yeah, Guardians tied the game with a Manzardo homer in the top of the 5th, but here's where I was talking about Tyler Anderson stepping up, and a big moment in this game. Top 5, so it was top 4 when Manzardo hit the home run. Top 5, Anderson has the bases loaded, and Wash comes out to talk to him, and it's that moment of Wash kind of, you're going to be in, you're going to be out. He ties his shoe. I think he was just trying to delay the inevitable here, and Anderson talks himself into staying in this game, and Johnny, on a 3-2 pitch, he throws a changeup, a perfect changeup to Carlos Santana, who looks awful and strikes out swinging way out in front of that pitch. But it was in the zone, which made it an even better pitch. And here's why I love that. Because last year, this game blows up in the 5th inning. Tyler Anderson blows up in the 5th inning. But, John, he didn't blow up. And Carlos Santana would have crushed us last year.
Some black magic woman right there.
Absolutely. And he did not do that. And so that's what I loved about this game in particular. Tyler Anderson came through. It wasn't his best outing, John, but 5 innings, just 1 hit. Where he got in trouble, though, were the 4 walks. He did walk a lot of guys, and it was in key moments. Struck out 5, gave up 2 earned through 81 pitches. Then Zephyr John comes in for Anderson. He pitches an inning. He gives up a hit, but he also strikes out the side, had a moment where they checked him, see if he's okay. I think he's still kind of hurting in that hamstring area, but he looked good in this game. And because Anderson gets out of that 5th inning, it gives him an opportunity, gives the team an opportunity to actually score some runs and not have to come from behind, but actually take the lead, right?
Yeah, Jorge Soler gives the Halos the lead with a 2-run homer, 112.7 off the bat. Homered in 2 straight games. Mike, he's playing right field. He's engaged. He's hitting home runs. Let's keep him in right field. Mike Trout can DH. Yeah, that's
Trout's not having a bad time at DH either.
Yeah, exactly. So the Angels led 3-2 at that point. The 5th inning from Anderson was even bigger, like you mentioned, because the Halos were able to take the lead. Top of the 7th, we get Brock Burke in the game. He got the first 2 batters. Then Steven Kwan bunted and got on base. That brought up Jose Ramirez. So Wash decides to bring in Big Ben Joyce to face him. He gets Ramirez to fly out to end the inning. The Angels look to add on in the bottom of the 7th. Adele was hit by a pitch. Anderson reached on an error. Taylor Ward singles. The bases are loaded. Rengifo hits a sac fly. Gives the Halos a 2-run lead. All the runners move up. With 1 runner out, runners at 2nd and 3rd. Trout's intentionally walked. Soler hits a sacrifice fly. Productive outs, right, Mike? You don't, you often think like Soler, he's going to put the ball in play or he's going to strike out. And so, fortunately, he did that. And he did not strike out, which is something the Angels would have done. 5-2 at this point. Kyren Paris extends the lead with his 2nd homer of the season. 434 to dead center. Woo! 7 home runs for the Halos in the last 2 games. Joyce comes back in the 8th, gets the Guardians 1-2-3. Kenley Jansen closes it out 1-2-3. 3 straight series wins to start the season. The first time since 2018 that the Halos have been able to do that. They are now 6-3. They're headed to, well, not Tampa, but the
somewhere there,
minor league stadium where Tampa is going to play this season. Mike, real quick, your thoughts on the team?
They look very different than they have in years past. We're going to talk more about that on tomorrow's show, but they look very different and things are going in a very different direction. When last year and the year before, things got tough and they would completely fold, and they're not folding this season, which has been very impressive.
Yeah, I like that they're staying competitive and they're staying in these games, even when there is a chance for things to get out of hand. They're not letting it get out of hand. And even in a loss like on Friday night, still in it, still fight until the end. And so great series all around, beating a good team. I think we can all say the Guardians are a good team.
Yep.
And so that was really impressive from the Halos. 6-3, 3 series wins in a row.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You can get local analysis on a national scale. And you are going to see my brother John is one of the hosts of that show. It's a great show. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and connect with Mike and I on Twitter and Instagram at Super Halo Bros. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Is there something really different about this team, or are we just feeling like there's something different? We're going to talk about the difference tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Logan O'Hoppe, the captain,
Best
the king,
friend.
the homer,
BFF.
my best friend.